JP, how about getting advice from quote unquote, outside experts like parents? They're giving you advice on how it should be done.
So teachers and coaches are the only two professions in the world where other people tell them how to do their jobs. And I'm always willing to listen, right? No one knows your child better than you do, I hope, right? You can tell me about how your child is as a person, but you can't tell me that what I'm doing to help your child is not good. Case in point, weightlifting stunts your growth, apparently, right? Now, I can give you almost hundreds of research papers to tell you otherwise. Hundreds. Because as a youth development coach, that's going to be the biggest question you're going to get and probably the biggest pushback. I still have pushback today. And doesn't matter how many research papers I send through, I still get pushback. Now, the idea of, if we look at it, get a little bit of history first, right? The idea of heavy weightlifting stunting a child's growth actually comes from, I think it's the 1800s, where there was obviously still a little bit of child labor and things like that, working within, whether it's a mine, whether it's railroads and things like that. What they started to realize is that there was a pattern of kids staying a little bit on the shorter side. So that they thought, okay, well, there's a correlation. And the thing is, correlation isn't always causation. Two very different things. Now, what actually happens is that when these kids are carrying heavy bags, heavy loads and things like that in and out of mines or at the railroads and things like that, the posture that they go into changes. So their growth actually hasn't stunted. What has changed is their posture. If I've got a heavy load, if I'm carrying something heavy in front of me as a young child and I'm not doing it in a correct form, I'm going to round and I'm going to round. So what I'm going to do is going to pull my entire posture forward, which means it's going to make me shorter. Simple. So that's sort of like the brief history of all of that. Now, getting back to being told by parents what we should be doing. At the end of the day, if the parent is an accountant, I'm not going to come to you and tell you how to run your company's books. At the end of the day, I don't know. I didn't study it. I maybe know how to run my own finances, but just because I know how to save a little bit of money, spend a little bit of money, and maybe invest a little bit of money, doesn't mean that I'm an accountant or I'm an investor. No, it means that I might have an idea of to keep my own nest egg at a good, stable base. So I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. Same with whatever profession. I'm not going to go to a mechanic and say, that's the problem there. How do I know what that problem is? Am I an engineer? No. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I went and did this. Quite funny we were talking about that. Saw on a doctor's mug the other day, it says, please do not mistake your Google research for my degree. Right? We've got information accessible to us at the touch of a finger, right? But how we process that information and how we use that information, or knowing even how to read that information, changes. A engineer is not going to know how to read a biomechanics-based paper. They might understand some of the physics part of it, but they're not going to understand why we do what we do, and vice versa. Right? Like I said, I'm always open to having conversation with parents. Always. Tell me what little Johnny is doing at home. How is he interacting? What is he eating? What can we do to help? By telling me that your son or your daughter cannot partake in physical activity where there are weights involved because it's going to stunt their growth, I will disagree with you. At the end of the day, I can't force your child to lift that weight. You still have to give me the okay. But just know that chances are your child may fall behind on their physical development as we go through. They might be more prone to injuries as they get older. They might be lacking some sort of power. They might be lacking some sort of speed. I won't say 100% they're going to fall behind, because they might not. But there is a big chance that they'll fall behind from the physical development part. So why not let us do what we do? You've obviously, like most parents like to say, is we paying you money, do your job kind of thing. Let me do my job. I'm not going to sit in the back of the car and tell someone else how to drive. You're in the back seat for a reason. You're a passenger. Enjoy the ride. That's the way I look at it. But we'll always get pushback.
100%. So that is parents giving us advice as coaches and trainers and teachers as well.
Absolutely.